Uh, Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the City Council Work Session Special Meeting of Tuesday, July 14th, called meeting to order and after approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented and request that all presentations and discussions be conducted respectfully and in a manner mindful of everyone's time.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, before we start public comment, since I have all of your attention, I have a couple of announcements to make. So first off, City Hall is moving into their new facility. And so they will be closed for business from July 22nd through the 24th. So that's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week to move back home to 163 East Ave. They will open, for business again, God willing, on, Monday, July 27th at 8 a.m. And the police station, will remain open in case you want to go visit them. But they will have some limited service when the file servers are being moved. And if there's any questions, email City Hall at, their email address. And then, on Thursday, August 6th, we'd like you to join us in celebrating our new City Hall. We will be having our first city council meeting that day. It's a Thursday. We're having it on Thursday because Tuesday is National Night Out. And we'd like everyone to go to that. And so at 4 o'clock to 5:30, we're going to have a grand opening. And then we'll have the meeting that starts at 6 p.m. So tonight is the last night that we get to sit in these very comfortable chairs. Probably gonna take them with us, right? Okay, so those are the public service comments. For public comment, we have a loaded agenda tonight, so we are going to limit everyone to 3 minutes. There will be a visible timer on the screen. And if you get it done in 2 minutes, there'll be some extra credit. Okay, so if you would like to make public comment, please raise your hand. Jim? And remember, mailing addresses and be kind and respectful, please.
Tim Reddy, PO Box 429, Cannon Beach. And first, I'd like to say thank you to Bruce, who shepherded us through these 2 projects. It's pretty amazing, really, to get to the end and be essentially on time and on budget. So thank you for that. Thank you. So I'm Tim Reddy. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Cannon Beach Sustainable Dunes initiative. I wanted to give you a brief update. Tommy and I have submitted our first batch of signatures to Jen and further to Clatsop County. And we're probably just short of the required number, but once we get the number back from Jen, that's next tomorrow, I hope, then we're ready to go in the second batch. So we're encouraged by the progress that we're making and we're grateful for the community support that we've received. What's encouraged us most is that people who actually read the initiative tend to ask thoughtful questions, whether they ultimately agree or disagree with us. They discover something about the dune process that's different from what they thought it was. They've been to the beach and they relate to what we're saying. They see it with their own eyes. Unfortunately, some of the public discussion has focused on speculation about motives rather than the actual language of the initiative. People have claimed that it replaces the city's 2024 dune management plan. It doesn't. People have claimed that it mandates replacing European beach grass with native vegetation. It doesn't. People have claimed that it authorizes grading for private ocean views. It still does not do that. The issues are addressed in our setting the record straight thing that I submitted to the packet. And while we fully respect every council members to hold and express an opinion about the initiative, likewise, every citizen has every right to support it or oppose it. What concerns me is when elected officials encourage voters to read between the lines of a citizen initiative or speculate about the intentions that simply are not found in the text. The initiative process is amazing. It's unique. It's citizen action, at its purest form. And the beautiful thing about an initiative is the only thing that matters is what's on the page, not motives, not anything else. So it's a legal document, it means what it says, nothing more than it. People have every right to oppose this, people have every right to support it, but they do not have a right to rewrite it. And that's a little bit of what we're seeing out there. Voters in Cannon Beach, I think, deserve that level of honesty, and I believe that. So thank you so much.
That's
Now, who would like to present next?
I'll get a time.
Right, Michelle, okay.
Nothing to do with anything. Okay, with the new lease to locals program approved, I'm concerned about the cap on the STR still not yet being in place. What is the timeline for this? Why can't this happen in the SAP? We as a community should be concerned about protecting the current full-time rentals and the residents who live in them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah.
And to the result in, both on the Blackstone Street work and but I think it's time that Cannon Beach addresses the cost of parking tickets here in Cannon Beach and town. Because when those bicycle patrol people go to ticket somebody, people will say, well, how much is the ticket gonna be? $25. That's nothing. Oh, people should be paying that for parking. But not on public streets, not in our 5-minute zone. And especially not in the no park on this side of the street time, usually. That's all, they need to be addressed.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience like to make public comment? Okay.
We're sending to our 736 Cannon Beach, and it just came to my attention yesterday that the city's planning or vigorously desiring to build a building across the street from my house in a park. This was a big surprise, and I was quite frankly not excited about it for many reasons. What's in that northwest corner is half of the parking for the entire park and a large hedge and 6 big trees. And the elk go through there every day, the rabbits, people, I had 4 horses walking through there 2 days ago. Children are climbing the trees. The thought of having a line of cars idling, waiting to get through the food pantry every Wednesday, while we all sit on our balconies and porches and just watch the animals, because that's what we do at Lusher Park. You know, with construction and noise and smells and I rent. I talked to my landlady 10 minutes ago. And I said, did you know they're planning on building a building across the street from us? And she said, higher than I can even reach with my voice. She goes, in the park? And I was like, yes, in the park. And she said, well, that's just ridiculous. So anyway, I said I was gonna come here, get more information, speak my piece. I'm hoping I'm just, you know, hysterical, but it's kind of looking, I'm reading the memo now. It just seems like if West Shirley Park were literally the only place in this entire amazing area that you could do it, then hey, you know, you've got to sacrifice your park. But I know people live near parks because they know it's not going to be developed. You know, the park. So if this were literally the last ditch effort, then you know, sure, of course, but it seems like there's a lot of other things that can be done that won't choke off a little neighborhood and take parking away from beach parking. The park was full today, it was a rainy Tuesday. You know, a lot of people on the grass, all the cars are in the park, so anyway, I look forward to learning more about this. And I just wanted to speak my piece and stand for my landlord and my neighbors.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience? That would like to make another comment? Is there anyone on Zoom? Yes. Go ahead.
Hello, Diana Turner, PO Box 211, Cannon Beach, 97110. Tonight I'd like to make a brief statement for myself and then a joint statement. So Mr. Ramey has, I'd like to speak to his dune grading and proposed initiative. I think it's important to recognize that between the written initiative that everyone gets to read, if that passes, there is a large process where those words in that initiative get hammered out to be an actionable law. So we will spend a lot of time talking about what things like hazard, beach access, native plants, what all that means so that we can actually have some action. And so though he keeps saying, let's look at the words in the initiative, it's important to remember that the initiative, I believe, is purposely vague so that it does not raise concerns with voters. So the comments that are being made by people who have been through this process for years, both in Cannon Beach and across the Oregon shoreline. And now I'd like to read a joint statement from the Friends of the Dunes, Oregon Coast Alliance, and Surfrider Foundation, those very people that work in land use policy on the shoreline. Don't be fooled. The proposed Cannon Beach 4Dune initiative is an unfunded mandate. The city's taxpayers would pay to have to lower the dunes and reshape them for the benefit of a small number of oceanfront property owners seeking better views. This is not about beach access and safety. This is a 180-degree reversal of the community's current dune management plan, which prioritizes healthy dunes that protect the community from erosion and winter storms. The proposed initiative would replace that approach with an open-ended mandate to keep lowering and reshaping the dunes with no dedicated funding source and no clear limits. Based on a public records request, local fire, police, and lifeguard officials have confirmed there have been no dune-related incidents. The fire district has also stated that dune grading would not improve its emergency operations. This proposed initiative seeks to bypass the existing management plan that protects Cannon Beach by dressing up dune grading for oceanfront owners as a public safety and access issue. The facts do not support those claims. It would also amend the city charter, locking this dune policy into the city's highest government document instead of allowing for updates as science, coastal conditions, and shoreline management best practices advance. A judge has rewritten this ballot to make it clearer to voters. Do not be fooled into paying for a backdoor plan that lets oceanfront homeowners grade the.
Thank you. Is there anybody else online?
No other hands up, guys.
Okay, one last call for anybody in the audience. Okay, thank you. So we will start with our first discussion item, which is the Cannon Beach Food Community Food Pantry Permanent Facility Request.
Cannon Beach Community Food Pantry Board President Tina Vincent will present the proposal for their permanent facility location.
Hi, here we are again. I assume that you've all seen the proposal. And, on behalf of the board of the Cannon Beach Pantry and the communication committee that we put together with the public works people, a city council member and Bruce. This is what we have came up with, as an idea. Looking forward to your questions. I encourage everyone to read the entire, summary or the entire proposal and, realize that this isn't something we just came up with overnight. This is something we've been working on for 2 years at least. And I recently went on vacation the week that pantry got knocked down. The original pantry was knocked down. And when I came down the hill, I was like, okay, nothing's going there again. That's not, verse, but you could see the ocean and like, okay, this is pretty, this is a nice view and what we had is what we had, but we need to look forward and that's what we're here to do. So I welcome your questions or your comments and looking forward to working forward to find a permanent location for the pantry.
Anybody have questions? Yeah, what council member did you work with?
I was.
Barb's on council.
With the mayor, who is also the treasurer of the food pantry.
Yes.
Yes, she is. But she was the one appointed by the council to be on our communication committee.
It was just a question. So I don't even really know that it's a question. I have to agree with, I agree with the food pantry needs a permanent home. If that, putting it there, you're taking out, I agree with Lori, since then you're taking out part of the park. People go there, people play there, people enjoy it there. Excuse me. And you're still in a tsunami zone. So that isn't good for the community, our community members. Continuing to go into a tsunami zone, to, be able to utilize the services that are offered to them there. I've come to understand that the city also owns some property up, like by the public works yard, by Elk Creek Terrace, up in that area, which is out of the tsunami zone, which is going to greatly lower, insurance costs, things like that. Probably building as well, because the number that was given here for building, I can't see that, covering, seismic activity. I could be completely wrong. That's just me. And then not even covering, you know, a tsunami type situation. So have you thought about property that might be up higher and on the other side of the highway?
We've thought about it, we have, talked to this committee or this council before and investigated every location in this town that we could think probably that would work for our situation, for our clients and for the traffic patterns. And there was none of them were either feasible for us or for those things, the traffic pattern or the owner. So as we said in our proposal, no publicly owned land or privately owned land even is available that works for all of those conditions. Right now, we are in a park. The proposed plan is to have us remain in a park. So we would still be in a park.
Well, you were in a school.
Right, but that.
You were in a school building that is going to be a park.
Correct.
So you weren't in a park previously.
It will be, it is a park, and Coos Park is a park, and it will,
Right,
and
but
the
you were
whole
in-
thing will be a park.
You were in a school building. So you weren't in the park, you were in a school building. I'm going to, I mean, if you look at it that way, I suppose you could look at it either way, but it was part of the school. So I think that I just think that I don't see how, if there is property available up by the Public Works Department or site up there, how it would be, wouldn't be a good option. Opposed to going in, taking out trees, disrupting neighborhoods that have been there forever. And reducing the size of a park and taking parking.
In Jeff Adams drawings, I don't know if Jeff's here tonight, but in Jeff Adams drawings and Trevor's drawings, you would see that in the place where the building would be placed, only a 1,500 to 1,800 square foot building, not a large expansive building, is where the hedges are. And maybe one of the first trees. That's where the proposed placement is. Those parking spaces are not lined, so it would be 6 to 8 parking spaces, which would for sure be made up in the difference between moving us from where we are to, you're gonna lose parking there, and us being in that design of the whole new Necruz Park system. You're gonna lose that many parking spaces, so actually it might be a gain in parking spaces in the town. We're only there on Wednesdays, we're there on Wednesdays from 3 to 5:15, that's when the majority of the cars would be there, going through there. We deliver on Mondays, those are the only times that we're there. So we're not going to be disrupting the park every day, it's not gonna change. The full reason for that, why that even came to us, was it is already an in and out drive, like we have now. In a circle, this one is a continuous in and out. And so that aids in the traffic, that aids in flow, that aids in not coming down into the middle of the city. In any given time, most of our clients are already coming through that 4-way stop there. So we're not in the drawing, which is only the proposed drawing, but in the proposed drawing, we're not taking out trees, we're only taking out hedges. We would be on the northwest corner of that park, where the parking lot is. So most of what we would be taking for the building is the parking space and the hedges. And the bids that we received were from reputable area builders, and that includes, we wouldn't need seismic if the proposal was, the pantry's building, the pantry's property. That includes everything that we would need. We don't need fancy. We just want it to look nice on the outside so that it looks like it belongs here in Cannon Beach, like downtown or many of our homes in the area. But we don't need fancy inside. So the $300 a square foot was the given cost that it would cost for everything that we would need in that building.
Your insurance company isn't gonna be happy with that. They aren't gonna be happy with you being in a tsunami zone with I understand what you're saying, but I think that there's a lot more to the picture that's not being portrayed. I'm sorry, go ahead, Eric.
No, I have the question might be for Bruce. It sounds like there's drawings of this that weren't included in the packet. I don't know how much of a conversation we can have about having.
It's in the packet.
It's still in the packet.
It's just the map, the northwest corner of that map. There was a square on it. Maybe the square didn't come through in the.
There's no square.
I see a copy of a page staff report that has the tax maps, and then following that is the requirements for the parking zone. So I don't see any proposed traffic flow patterns or building size citing or anything like that. I feel like it's gonna be hard for us to have a discussion about this without, we have your statements that it'll be good flow and all that stuff. I have some severe concerns about traffic flow in that area. But without having a proposal about that, it's gonna be hard to have a discussion about that.
I just have a question for other council members. I'm just curious, would you rather remain where it is?
No,
I'm just curious.
I'm not opposed to remaining where it is, if it's incorporated within stuff like what we've been discussing, that doesn't sit weird with me or anything like that.
Well, I guess it-
I think it's important that it continues operating.
I'm not opposed to it staying where it is. I think the big issue is if they're going to stay there, and we're going to accommodate them there, then there has to be a temporary home. And we don't have a solution for that, or I haven't heard one.
Right, this avoids needing a temporary solution. We have a permanent, functional, ongoing, sustainable home for the pantry. And they're not moving around from place to place. It also gets us to facilities with running water, you know, all the modern luxuries that someone would want, in a timely manner, because the Nakus project, you're picking a firm tonight, I believe, maybe I'm off a little bit on that, because this has been my focus. But if, you know, how long can we be in this situation? We have, you know, our clients rely on us, and it would be nice to be able to give them something that we're looking forward to be sustainable, instead of remaining in this limbo for who knows how.
How would you feel if it stayed somewhere in the Coos Park?
I
We're
think,
in the park now, as far as I'm concerned, you're in the park. You were at the trailer in the park, and now you're in the old school building, one of the old school buildings temporarily. So how would the food pantry feel about remaining?
I think that, speaking for the board mostly, no, I mean, we're together in this, but, you know, I'm saying what I think right now, and, yeah, with taking into account what has been said. We are not opposed to being a part of that park, but it seems as if, as was outlaid in our proposal, that there are so many benefits for us not being there. Benefits for us not being there, again, is a timely manner, lack of traffic. You know, our traffic goes way down, not being across the road. And just being able to get on with being a functional pantry again. So, and then when looking at it from a broader concept, not having anything to do with us, then the plans for that park go ahead without concern of us. The driveways, the entrances, the traffic, the parking, whatever needs to happen does not have to have anything to do with the food pantry. Because we've been removed from there. So while that has been obviously a wonderful place to be, is that sustainable in the future? What does that look like? How long does that take?
So you're mostly, it sounds to me like timing is the big issue for you. Timing and security.
Right, and something that we're able to project our own future. More ability to have control is not the word I'm looking for, but if we're in our own building, we're paying our own, well, we already pay all our own bills, but we're paying our own upkeep, we're in charge of what happens with the roof, you know, so that's fixed, so the tree doesn't fall through and we have to move when we have it. That's why we're in the situation we are in now. We didn't have control over our facilities.
Because the land grant is what makes the difference to you then.
Right.
So you were given a land grant, a little of enough land to build what you'd like to build in Nakus Park. Wouldn't that solve the issue of having to move into West Sherwood?
but the problem,
That would solve that issue, yes, but then that would be great. That would be great. It just, that piece of property has been tied up and will continue to be tied up for such a long time. That, again, when that came to us, it's already in and out traffic. It's a tiny little corner, you know, only there Wednesdays, a little bit on Mondays. And so and there's already all of the water is there, the electricity is there, because we don't have functioning water. Even if we put a building there isn't any connections to water where we are now. We're, right now, we have a hose bed coming out of water, because that water tank, whatever was there when, in our original building, has been decommissioned. It does not work. There has to be a lift pump,
Lift station.
a lift station built at that property for anything that gets built there. So even if we put it in, even if we did get a land grant, we are still have to wait for that water to be done. And then where does that play in your Lake Cruise Park? Plans.
We also talked about the archaeological aspect to digging in that, to putting anything else there, so at Nakus. So that's why I would lean more toward, I mean, it's fine, they stay there, but it's gonna be a lot more, a lot more.
Well, I don't know if there's any archaeological concern about Les Shirley as well. That was the other side of the creek. The village was on both sides of the creek, so
But we were
The
told that
comprehensive plan,
what's that?
the comprehensive plan acknowledges that there's cultural stuff there.
Well, William Clark drew a map and he shows, 4 native houses on the south side of the creek and a native house on the, north side of the creek. I agree with Eric, there's no way we can make a decision, and I would be very hesitant.
This
to
is a work
support
session.
this time. But I mean, we're left with, where is it gonna be and how is it gonna be, and, I just wanna clear up Lloyd's point. When you say I've heard the city is planning, this is the first we've heard about it. So, I'm a little surprised that, planning has been involved in this,
For 2 years,
we haven't planned this for 2 years, that's not.
but that's what you said.
We've been looking for a solution to the problem that we have for 2 years.
Yeah.
We formed this committee in January, I believe. And we've been trying to find solutions since then, and this is our first proposal. We haven't been planning this for 2 years. This was an idea that we came up with that had buy-in from our committee that we were on.
so my first question was gonna be, where is it going to be located? Because it's a little park, we don't wanna take anything to the east, out of the really existing park. So we're gonna be building something in, a small triangular area, where there's existing green space. How,
I'm sorry that this doesn't show.
how many trees need to be removed? Say, not many, I guess, is a summary. How much green space are we actually giving up? Is this going to, it is going to affect the parking somewhat. Is it going to affect, that's a required RV turnaround. Is it going to have impact on that? It's our only public parking in the north end, to access north end beaches and creeks. And frankly, I'm disappointed that you haven't considered other options. The option of, taking the space where the temporary city hall is now does not take up any green space. The traffic flow could be easily solved. It's private, it's near the bus stop here. I just don't understand why it's not part of the conversation, but taking a chunk out of a neighborhood park seems like a good idea. I can't imagine supporting it. Lots of other questions about terms of land grant. But I don't know, I thought it was a bad idea. I would support it at Nichols. I think that's a bigger site. We could design for it. We could design the traffic flow for it. But again, I know that comes with complications of a temporary location.
Yeah, time. That's a big deal.
I would say that we have made lots of considerations of lots of different locations. This
And
is,
what about that space down here does not work?
what about where the city hall has been? It's traffic patterns. You cannot take, well, you could, do you want to? Take 55, 60 cars through the middle of the town on Wednesdays. On any given Wednesday in the summer, that's just,
What would be essentially dedicating the parking to it on Wednesdays? What's the difference of dedicating, those spaces that are gravel there? I
I'm
mean,
not-
it would take a little bit of work to make the access and people drive in, pick up their items and drive back up the road.
it's not parking, it's coming through town. If the location we're on now, they come to the edge of town. The proposed location, they would come to less deep into town. This bringing the cars through here down into this area. It doesn't seem sustainable to us. We get backed up, where are they gonna go? And it's not a, we're not discounting. But we have considered that location. We have considered where we are. We have considered other locations. We've considered private land to purchase, raise funds to purchase. It's just, there isn't very many locations where the traffic pattern works to go in and out for our clients. Who are
I
at first,
haven't looked at the RV park area either, but that seems like it would be,
Is it,
um,
don't they? You can't get over here southbound onto I think 205. 101. And so they still have to go through town to get to where you are now, and they still have to go through town to get over to West Shirley, unless
they're
they're
coming
coming,
down off the highway and come.
if they're coming,
Or they're going from Seaside.
if they're coming from Seaside, but if they're coming from here, they still gotta go through town. So I think that argument for this is not,
If you're not going through the middle of town in 2.5 hours altogether. Every single person who comes to our pantry would be coming through this intersection. Every single one.
but they go through that intersection.
They don't all
They
go
have
through, they don't all go through that intersection.
Right,
It might be a good idea to describe this, our service area.
Our
where
service,
people are coming
yeah.
from.
Our service area is to the Creek Campground on 101, to the tunnel on Arch Cape, to the ocean, and then up to Jewel on 26. But that's where all the people are coming from. And a lot of them, and the other thing with the traffic is, a lot of them, our clients are coming between jobs. They're either working 2 jobs or they're getting out of school is early release on Wednesday, and they're coming from those locations. And so they need to get back sometimes they need to get back to their jobs, and if we know who those are, we try to get them through as quickly as we can, so they're back. But that's who we're servicing, so we have a lot that come from 26 down from Jupiter.
there's gonna be a lot of resistance.
Isn't it true that once the park's designed, there will be water and sewer there, so you're gonna have public bathrooms
In
there?
fact, we're gonna have to build bathrooms, so we're gonna have to build a facility.
Water fountains and things like that, so there will have to be utilities there, and so maybe, you're worried about utilities in the cruise site. Maybe alleviated by knowing that the city will be providing utilities there through the design of the park, so. I don't know if that helps your your concerns or not, but,
It's the timeliness of those,
yeah,
those,
and that,
um,
but,
utilities.
well, I mean, one way or the other, but they're both parks.
Right.
I agree, with you. So, you know, and they're both the Sunapee side.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think,
And they're both on that end of town.
right. And I don't know what land you're talking about, the one up on Bell Creek Road, where are you? What are you referring to?
It's between the public works yard and, Oak Creek Terrace. I'll find out for
On the
sure.
same side.
I think so. I'll find out for sure and I'll email it to Jen. So she can whisper to me.
Yeah, I have a hard time figuring where that is. I mean, I know where the two places you're talking about, but I don't know about what land is available between the two of them.
Yeah, and then something over there, there's highway access. No matter both ways, there's highway access. It's off the beaten path. It's not through downtown at all. People aren't having to, so. I mean, I would like to say, Tina, you did a very nice job on this. So thank you for giving us a lot of information. That was, but, yeah, I'll find that. And
So when will this be on an agenda next?
We're just gonna ask what our next
Yeah,
steps.
because we got, I mean, the bottom line is, they need a spot, so, and I figured, in my opinion, we need to come to the council in a great month if they can help figure that out, so. Not just to say no to this or that, but to come up with alternatives.
I thought the temporary building already in place. Would have been
a great alternative.
the perfect option for a temporary location and move it back in the Coos.
Oh, but now
You know, wait a minute, you mean, so have a temporary down here.
While they're building the roads.
but,
Oh,
but
I
the,
mean, we were talking about keeping one for them anyway.
We wouldn't have been able to use those. They're too high off the ground. We can't be that high off the ground.
But you know, there's lots. I think there are solutions.
Sure there are. But that's not one of them. We can't load trucks in and off with our volunteers on ramps that go like this with our food carts. That's just not, that's
I don't know if
not,
you've ever seen those roller ramps where food could be rolled right down practically to a car door.
and Seaside.
Again, I hear that, I hear all kinds of objections to that. And I just don't understand it.
Seaside's on a modular, there's a modular, and they built a loading dock at the end of it.
Their customers go in like if it's a grocery store.
Well, right, but there's still a,
And they have a loading dock in the back of those groceries. Yeah. Right. We work closely with the Seaside Food Banks, rewards. So what do you want for the next steps? We're gonna go through something.
Obviously, this is a very complex problem. I think that the council needs one to make a policy decision that you absolutely are or would consider or whatever housing the food pantry. And then before saying, let's go ahead and have a study, you're gonna hire somebody tonight to do the work at the Coos. And give criteria and let people try to go ahead and solve the problems that are associated with it. But I think that, like, if you were to hand this over to staff now, we would be working against the consultants that might come in, and then we say, well, we can go ahead and put it in this corner. And then there's all kinds of problems, like the corner that it's in now, there's a tremendous amount of cost that's gonna be associated with putting utilities there. another location on the property, you've got the ability to use gravity systems and that. But, we are talking lift stations and other things that, the reason that there is no, sewer there, well, anymore, is because the system that was there was a pump system. And, it was just a maintenance, nightmare. So I think that you need to give criteria. All right, we got a couple of locations. What is it that you want out of this? And then let somebody take a look at it. And then give you proposals, but for, staff or for the, food bank to go back now and bring you back proposals, I don't think they would be, valid.
So Bruce, are you suggesting that the consultants that we're gonna hire for neighbors would be the ones that would give us those recommendations?
I think if there's consideration to put them in terms, you absolutely have to include them in the discussion. Because they need to be talking about the utilities, they need to be talking about traffic flow, all kinds of things. So, if you're going to be talking about, the location at Les Shirley, that's one that you could possibly ask, extend their, scope. To say, take a look at that site also, or do a comparison of the two. But you've got a situation is very difficult to solve. And I don't think you can solve it in like half-hour sound bites. And trying to work through it without somebody giving you the technical answers. And I've not heard what the criteria is yet.
The RFP for, the Use project included stipulations about the congregate space for this and designing around this entity that is expected to continue existing in the site. So the architect of the organization is aware that that's something they have to be designing around. Anyways.
Right.
But I think probably the most important issue is we want to continue to feed people in our community every single week. And that's something that is the food pantry board's #1 priority. And so whatever we decide, I think that's the most important thing. Because we can't tell our clients that, in 6 months.
Somebody mentioned something about maybe considering having a few options. Other than just one. And I lost.
I think Gary, and maybe it'll work if we get some kind of a facility down there as a temporary. That we can work in while Newcoups is being developed.
Well, the modulars are down there, but they're leaving.
Right.
So what do you do? Does the city need to spend or the food pantry need to spend a bunch of money to bring another building in?
Well, I think that's where we need some help.
That's why building something while we're where we are, and then being able to move into that without stop a flow of services to our clients. Is one of the benefits of this and what we're looking at, because you can't.
I was
Can't leave them.
keeping that modular, to help us with that transition.
And
we've already
seeing
been,
ramps and stuff that would look at that for motors and that.
But those modulars are already going away.
The schedule will go away, yes.
Yes.
But
And I agree with Bruce, is that we do have to decide as a policy, as a council, that we want to keep the food bank running, we don't want interruption. And we want it to find a permanent home. That works for the food bank and all of its clients. So I assume there's consensus on that.
But it also has to work for the city too. Right?
Well, yes. of
Yeah.
course.
So, I think we already all agreed on that.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and the things that it needs, we all know. It just, it's just very ambiguous now for me, and I'm sure for the food bank and everybody else. How it's gonna work. But we have to figure out a way that it will work. Because it's very important for this community. So who's gonna figure that out? We're gonna have the people from Vancouver. Who are designing the park. We'll see if they can come up with a solution. If they can't, then what? Then who does?
We can write up some sort of a, adjustment to the contract that we'll bring to council for your approval. And it would expand the discussion about the food bank to other locations.
Okay.
I don't understand how, I mean, yeah, we could ask them to, look at, Les Shirley. And pay them to look at Les Shirley as an option. Personally, I would just like to never hear about this option again.
So we can pay them to
But
recommend.
we're paying them to find a temporary location. I don't.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. I see completely. If they can come up with traffic flow patterns, what it looks like at this site, and if those proposals look like they're not gonna work for both or either party in the situation, then I think we need to get staff and us investigating the other sites, like around the lots that are around public works yard, around this site here, whatever other publicly available around West Shirley, if that's one of the options, but I don't think we need to have the contractor included in the scope of searching out other locations. I think that's something for us to discuss separately from having to pay a contractor to look at it.
Well, and then they don't know town, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
What I meant was that we would identify the locations that we would want them to look at. It wouldn't be a complete start, you know, looking at all.
We can go
these-
get them out of town.
Right, next time. It would be, I imagine that we could probably identify 2 or 3 locations. And then just get comparisons out of it.
Well, there's.
And are they the best ones to do that, or?
I would think, I would go with them. Because any work that they do with, you know, studying utilities or whatever, they already have, as opposed to having somebody else do that study and then give it to these folks, to go ahead and do a design for utilities.
It just seems like it seems out of the scope to have them figure out a temporary facility for, the food
The
pantry.
temporary facility is there now, but what I'm talking about is what facility are you gonna build towards? Are we going to put it in, on the coast, or are we gonna put it, you know, less surely, or we're gonna try to put it, second? What is it that you want to do? But without criteria to measure against, I don't know if you can come to a decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind somebody, and again, I don't know that they're the ones to look at it.
You want to hire a whole-
Could the traffic flow work down here? We can solve the other thing, at least for a temporary location. Would something in the RV park area work?
If you want to hire a whole new team to look into that and figure it out and come up with a plan, is that what you're suggesting?
I don't know, I just don't know if makes sense for the park people to,
But they can also go to work in Vancouver, at least.
yeah, well, they're gonna be doing that anyway.
Right, they're doing.
They'd be working on a permanent.
But if they, right, but, I think the temporary home is probably something that we're gonna have to decide.
I would agree, but who's going to decide what's a viable location for?
Well, I would assume that, you know, someone from Public Works or Planning would have a better idea of what land was available. What, you know, what kind of, what kind of cost it would incur to put a temporary facility there. I would hope that, you know, if they were tasked with that, they could come up with some idea for us. Because it's clear to me that none of us know exactly all the land that's available. I haven't heard, you know, so I'd like to hear from.
You know, we have gone through this before when we are looking for a spot for the camping cabin. Same what I bought. All through this town looking for places that. You know, the original plan was to have it the, where Fremont is, I mean, and part of that building that was still.
Oh, I remember that.
Years ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we've been down that road.
Well, just is that much.
No,
Available in some town.
That's why we drive around in our heads at night, and that's where it came up. But the 624 people we fed last month are looking for a yes. And I'd like to get them, there's gotta be a yes somewhere. There's gotta be a yes, we can work together, make a permanent location for the food pantry. So we can feed the people who live and work in this town, who need us. They don't just come to us for fun, they're not hanging out on the beach. They need us. And if we're not going to be there for them in a town that is completely, every day on my Instagram is rated 1, 2, 3 of world or country destinations to come visit because it's the greatest place in the world. And we can't feed 624 people in a permanent location. That's just
You know, I don't think I think the council's committed to seeing it.
in the time we can.
We just don't have a solution. At this point, but we're going to.
No, and I think I would like to see the food pantry come back with a couple of options and not just one. We know there's a couple out there. Doesn't mean that the third option might be your favorite, but it's an option, so we have options to weigh. And it sounds like there were other places that you could have done something, but chose not to pursue.
We're not made aware of other locations that were available to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've had a food pantry volunteer say to me they got the RV park, there's space at the RV park anywhere.
Okay, well, and for our reading part of this, looking at housing.
I know,
It's just, it's our
it's because we have,
recreation center, it's been our.
we have no property available for anything and,
Yeah, so the RV, and the RV park, it's owned by, that land is owned by the city, and it seems, it does bring in money to the city, but, and I understand that, but we have a lot of needs.
Mhm.
You know, like housing.
There's a lot of
Food thing.
chunks of that property currently.
so
And then master plan needs to be done at the property to potentially better utilize the land that is being used, maybe to continue using the same number of sites, open up other available land.
Let's be thinking of
Yeah.
that.
in,
Either these or
in the interest of moving the conversation forward, I am intrigued by the thought of Public Works. Taking a look, but then we may need to hire somebody to.
They would need to hire
Space,
in order to get costs.
yeah.
I think
So, again, I want,
So I would go with recommending that, that with Public Works, we look for some potential sites, permanent sites, or members.
And we'll bring you a scope review.
Does everybody agree with that?
It would be nice to
Sure.
see if there are any other permanent plots that would be available as well.
Slots being sites. It's just not.
And when,
No, you said that's smart.
Okay,
when would that be put on the agenda?
Bruce, do you have any idea when it will be on the agenda?
Well, I mean, my recommendation would be to sit down with you on this, because we're about to move into the new building.
And we also want to get.
Oh, the consultant, I said December.
No, okay, because we also want to get a consultant for the decrease side. So you guys go September.
Yep. Okay, ready to move on?
You're trying to go at 8.
Yeah, at 7:30, we're gonna. Okay, so next we have the Chamber of Commerce quarterly report. Come on up.
Are you sure?
We need nothing yet.
We are answered by not having our director with us. So for Laura, I guess, I answer your questions, especially and Sandy apologizes, President, for not being here, she had an emergency.
And our accountant should possibly be,
Amber on?
is Amber in the queue to answer questions. Yes,
And then I'm sorry.
this is Nan
Oh,
Devlin.
okay, I've heard your name.
Okay, put a face with it.
Everybody says you're wonderful, so. Okay, so go ahead.
So, I think, I'd like to start with, asking if everybody on council had a moment to look over the 2-year strategic marketing plan that, was in the packet. And Nan can give a brief overview of that and potentially answer questions for that.
Okay. All right, yes, my name is Dan Devlin and I'm a consultant, a tourism consultant. My company is Rural Tourism Partners and I'm based in Manzanito. And my goal here and the goal of the chamber was to do something that really focused solely on Cannon Beach, but was complementary to the countywide North Coast Partners work. And that's what this does, is it complements it. While North Coast Partners have done remarkable work and they have garnered, I shocked at how much national and international publicity you get in the magazines and other publications online. And they've done a great job. And this will be complementary to that, but in a storytelling manner for Cannon Beach. There are a lot of economic and tourism trends that are happening which it very well be a concern to all destinations. The cost of living keeps rising, people unsure of future impacts. And there are higher income jobs that are being laid off, tech manufacturing. So we'll have to, the country's been through this before a couple of times, actually during the 2000s. But the good news is that people are prioritizing travel and they're foregoing other expensive things like new cars, even new houses. So that's good. So they're wanting to spend time with friends and family and have a good time, and it's very good. The drive market is especially strong right now, despite high vehicle prices, but it's much more affordable than airfare. So the typical Cannon Beach visitor profile said it was about, and this was through Travel Oregon and Destination Analysts. And it's about 54 to 65 years old, higher income. They travel with families during the summer, but also do lots of traveling out in the off season. But that was like 35% of the visitor profile. There's another 65% that is full of niche markets that can be marketed to, with stories that mean something to them. And also, I just want to say quickly that I compared the spending that Cannon Beach does for tourism, and I compared it with about 8 other North Coast and Central Coast, and you're on par with Rockaway Beach and Astoria for ad spend. Seaside is much bigger, they have lots of money that they spend on ads, and also Newport and Lincoln City. I was surprised how much Newport actually is spending on ads, it was 5 times, 6 times as much as most other towns. But, you have such a great reputation that, a smaller ad spend than what Lincoln City does is not going to hurt you at all, because you have a great reputation as a village that people love. And I would just say that quickly that our 2-year goals, number 1 is to increase shoulder and off-season visitation. That's always, important to the Oregon coast. There will also be, and I've heard this from not just the chamber as well as the marketing, committee, is that there is a strong desire to have a Respect Cannon Beach stewardship campaign. And so this fiscal year, we'll be giving all that messaging together, and that will be working with all kinds of the state agencies, getting their feedback, such as state parks, Fish and Wildlife, some nonprofits and locals of what they see. And one of the great things is that the how to be aware around elk has already been started. So, we'll hope to coordinate with the city on that. Using local voices to personalize marketing, people want to know, storytelling is huge right now, and people want to have a connection. Not just going into a store shopping, but they actually want to know where these things come from, who made them. So we want to get those stories out, and that'll be through blogs of short reels. We're reaching day trippers, those who are already here, and give them ideas for spending their money and their time. And that geolocation campaign is starting this Friday. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it'll go for 5 weeks, and we'll be getting weekly reports on how much interaction there is. And we're advising, showing people fun pictures and some great little headlines that to get out and dine, go shopping, go ride bikes, play with your dog, things like that. So they're very targeted and very nice. And then also it's important to keep peak season travelers informed, teach safety, events, pick up after your dog, do your duty, things like that. And that's about what would be the extent of peak season communications, but just advising them how to be a great visitor beach. And then we'll have some benchmark results too. And I want to go over those benchmark results as soon as we get the first geolocation studies, because we may just adjust those a little bit.
And there is a follow-up of those summer geolocation connections to do a push to come back and visit in the fall and the winter.
Yeah. Geolocation is surprising how much how much information you can capture from people's cell phones. And that's how we'll be targeting through cell phone. That's scary. It's very scary.
It's been watching for a long time.
It is scary. In fact, I just read a detective novel that took place in France, and they were looking for a murderer, and they found her through her Fitbit. So very scary, yes.
Okay. Questions about the marketing plan for now?
It sounds nice about engaging with people that are here. Not inviting them, not anything,
I believe our tagline for the campaign is experience the magic in the Moon Beach. So the concerts in the park, the movies in the park, the play in the theater, playing pickleball on the fabulous new pickleball courts that I very much appreciate. I don't have to hear that when they were over here. it's more of a messaging in the peak season than actually marketing. That's the chance to say, please pick up after your dogs. Please be aware of the parking spaces that are,
And what does that look like?
The-
The messaging.
The messaging, it's a flash on your cell phone and it's images with just simply a small tagline like,
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly.
Fetch some fun with.
Fetch some fun, that's one with the dog,
Bag some goodies.
bag some goodies for retail. So it's just that, small pictures that speak 1,000 words, basically, to encourage them to, oh yeah, I could stop and get some candy
Where does this show up though?
on your cell phone.
Do you get a text message?
Text and they're got their car, their phone looking at it, it'll come up.
I had it happen,
So like-
driving in Hillsborough to pick up something and I got out of the car and I looked at my phone and it's like, oh, Hillsborough, they were like, hey, we noticed you're in Hillsborough, do you need someplace to eat? Are you looking for, it was lunchtime, are you looking for a place to eat? And it's like, click through and link to their website, here's our members, here's the food, here's the food next to you, near you. Like, wow. Kind of creepy. It is totally creepy, yes. Don't get me wrong, it's totally creepy, but it's available.
It's for all those people that don't know how to turn off location on their.
Yeah, right. Which is most everybody. I think the idea was, since we get day trippers, we don't have to get, we don't have to hold them here, they're gonna come here anyway. Can we get them to spend a little bit of money when they're here? Since the economy is dicey, we thought that might be worth doing next week.
And to respect the place, I mean, that's the part that is.
Yeah, or this, the short stint, pilot program for the geotagged advertising, is there stewardship messaging included in that? The pick up after your dog, the respect, 800 feet with mail, sort of, that those messages
Those
are
will develop.
filtered throughout that.
Yeah, we're showing food pictures, riding the bike, fat car bikes, things like that to get. That advertising, I'm trying to more.
Yes, there are stewardship messages included in the campaign.
Picture of a pile of poop in a bag. Let's say.
Is that what you're saying? Maybe a picture of the blue bags on the side of the trash can that they're available and to pick them up and pick up after your dog.
And
Pick up the bag and pick up after your dog. In my biggest dreams, we would have, Kevin Hart come on and say, I found a rock I can respect, and it's not Dwayne Johnson, the rock, it's Space respect the rock, respect the wildlife. In our, clarity of place information, that word respect came up over and over and over again. So that's very much at the top of the mind for our campaign, is to garner that respect from the people who do come to the town to respect it. Some locals need to learn how to respect too, but the pick up after the dogs or,
Pick up your trash.
Yeah.
Don't touch baby seals.
Right.
Don't climb cliffs and rocks.
Keep your dog on a leash.
I've been very, very adamant lately about, I want to see those black oyster catcher ships survive this season.
There's safety messaging.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll just say that, promoting Cannon Beach is the easiest job in the world. And there's a reason that we don't need to spend the kind of money that other communities spend. Because I have my Google alerts set. I see practically every day we're getting, positive coverage. Sometimes it's not as positive, but generally, one of the best places for, and there's, a list of like 10 things. So we do have a great reputation. You mentioned it, and I think that the bulk of our marketing should be going to maintaining and building that great reputation, because you can't just expected always to be there. You do need to, remind people and keep that present. And the bulk of the rest of it should be, we call it stewardship messaging, but it's really messaging to people who, to respect nature, the environment, promoting low impact outdoor recreation, hiking, the bird watching, along with all those stewardship things. So I'd really like to see us focus on those things, content that really promotes why we have a great reputation. And again, so many people have commented about the elk program. And I think that's an example of some of the kinds of things that can be done.
It's been expanded not just through the city's efforts. I know that there are businesses that have also been like, this is the elk and this is a zoomed image, and that message I think is getting spread very, very well. And, we're doing our best to also, do it from the information center. And, just this morning, I got something came, almost everything Cannon Beach comes across my news feed. And this morning, the one that I saved and screenshotted was point of view. An influencer makes you drive 3 hours out of your way to visit a beach. Somebody had been influenced by an influencer and came way out of their way to see Haystack Rock and to visit the beach. So we do have plenty of help out there, people saying to come, but they're getting the message across is I agree, the most important thing.
I sat in on, I think the whole council did on a lot of that, when we had the consultant come in. And, we were told, over the last couple of years that this kind of messaging was going to be, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a real strong stewardship messaging come out yet as a major part of the campaign. And that's what, we were told it would happen before, and it didn't, because I remember I was just on and on about it.
Well, and it may not actually, it may not come into your view if we're reaching people who aren't already here. We don't always see everything, but I can tell you that this month's visitor newsletter had 2 things, and they were both stewardship messages. One was the elk campaign, and the other was protecting the rock, and featured the black oyster catchers and the sensitivity of the nest there, and to please respect that area so that they could continue to grow. So there's at least one example of a stewardship message that has gone out from the chamber to the visitor visitor newsletter. That is a stewardship, a reminder to respect those items.
And we have a little bit different group in front of us today.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's refreshing. I would like to thank you, Laura, for mentioning clarity of place. And saying something about something that came out of that report.
I think Lisa was alluding to that also.
Yeah, I guess I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, in I was, how do we use this? And so I read through it, and that word respect is in those documents 50 times, maybe. I didn't count them, but it was a reoccurring message. And so I would say that message has been received, and that's something that we'll be working on.
Yeah, I think so. I'm hoping this change, this new group is going to make sure that happens, because it didn't happen before.
Well,
Sorry,
I'm sorry, you can answer that question if you want. So how are things structured now? We've been through a lot of revolving doors, so we've got marketing people, we don't have marketing people.
Well, we are
Lots of different employees.
still currently in flux. We are continuing our relationship with Worthy Marketing to do the social media on a monthly basis for the Experience Cannon Beach. We've brought Nan
What is
on.
that? Can I just interrupt?
Sure.
Is that all Instagram posts that then get copied onto Facebook?
I believe that they're
Joint shared.
jointly shared, that they're released to both Instagram and Facebook. And then, the team at the chamber also has access to the Experience Cannon Beach and will, insert and make a post, or I call it social shares as needed, like we'll be sharing through a cadence, the videos that the city has released for the elk. That's not covered by Worthy Marketing, but it's something that the team can do and make sure that that is shared. Then we brought on Nan as a consultant, for the planning portion of it. We, do have a marketing person in the chamber's budget for the next year. So, that would probably be more of a coordinator kind of, position, but, our executive director's gone through the middle of August now, so, I'm at a little bit of a standstill on moving forward with hiring a specific marketing person. For now, it's divided up amongst the team.
And Jim, did ask me when the new marketing people are brought on to help train them.
I'd like to remind our audience to try to keep the conversations down. It's really hard to hear, especially people that are trying to listen online. So. Thank you.
I don't know, we've been working on some things for years about trying to relook at the chamber contract. And like just about everything we do seems like, it takes a long time. But
We'll getting closer.
I mean, one of the things that concerns me, and it may be that we're gonna have a staff person to more oversee this, and so council doesn't have to, but if we are supposed to be overseeing it, I would say that the financials are not any help at all, without any historical financials.
And I think Gary, I think Tim is a little more involved, Tim Collier I agree with you, I'm not saying that. But I think he's a little more involved at this point with the financials. And then,
We are happy to report to you, however, whatever you ask, we just need to know. I don't know about that.
Let us know. So, you let us know that you wanted historicals. I think what happened was that we talked about in the board meeting that we need to have historicals in there. And then, not sure it got communicated to anybody.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I was concerned about it as well. It's like, it's hard to take it into context when you don't know what happened the previous 3 years.
It was part of the recommendations that we had
Yeah.
it's been part of,
18 months ago at
it's
least.
been part of the conversation for 5 years.
I remember you told me about it in the last 3 months or something, but anyway.
It's been long, yeah.
And then,
I was not aware of that, or I would have asked her to be further.
one of my other concerns financial is, we had hundreds of thousands of dollars in reserve. I don't really recall how much, at least $300,000 of reserves, and we now have 29.
Wasn't part of that like $189,000 reserve fund that shouldn't have even been in the financials?
I can't testify to that.
I think there was some money somewhere, about $189,000.
I believe there's about $189,000 that was just applied, a reserve applied to the operating budget. That's what I recall.
I don't think. Did you say you're?
Yeah, Amber, are you on the line? Can you hear that?
Or did you hang on?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so the reserve, what I can tell you about it is, and you might, I think they didn't present the second quarter maybe, so you might have a little bit of disconnect. I know they were sent forward, so you might be looking for that. But yeah, they do cover the operating expenses, and it is pretty typical for this particular time of year for that to be low, just because everything is being funded. However, there's no, like, the summer income and the spring and summer, once that comes in, then the reserve is really high for the first couple quarters, and then it's really low right now, just because the busy season is currently happening, but the chamber hasn't received any of the cash for that. So the next quarter, you should actually see it spike back up again.
But I don't think that was, it's not a matter of cash flow, which is what you're talking about now, right? This was this was $189,000-ish worth of funds that were in a reserve account. And it was shown, I think that Jim put it there because it was on something that he got from the city. I don't think I know. It was
Okay.
something he got from the city, and it was reported erroneously. It was kind of like maybe erroneous is a big word, but it was kind of put there in a holding place, and it shouldn't have been, and so it just kind of went away.
Is this after
So they
COVID?
didn't really have them.
Was this after COVID?
Oh, yeah, this was in the
Well, there were
last
lots
year.
of carryover dollars for several years,
Right.
so I.
I'm not sure.
Others maybe it just went away.
I was wondering if that was the dollar figure from the previous contract that was still.
It was something, it had something, there was something about reserves, and without Jim being present. But I
This is
feel
before
pretty,
Amber's time, I think.
yeah, it was,
Yeah.
but I feel pretty confident that it was. It just shouldn't have been there. That wasn't a
So when
reserve
Jim
amount.
comes back,
Maybe we'll be able to figure out what that was.
Well, I do much
Okay.
better now.
Can I ask
I'm
you-
happy to look into it and see what I can find out. I do know that the funds for what is spent there, they are all in one account and accounted for separately. And so, whatever, basically how it works is, the expenses that show up for the quarter, then that gets paid out to, they get reimbursed for it in that sense, to cover the cost for the last quarter on the expenses that are presented at these meetings. And so, but I'm happy to look into it. Do you know a time frame, what you're thinking? Just so I have a general idea where to look.
Was it in the last
I think
2 years?
Just look at the last 2 years'
Yeah.
budgets and see what amount of reserve funds was put into the budget,
Gotcha.
and then whether it's spent or not.
Gotcha. I know there was that extra, maybe you're talking about the extra reserve that went in last year. Is probably, I know there was some extra reserve that went in, but yeah, I'm happy to take a look at that for you.
okay, and Lisa has a
I
question.
just have a question, because I'm looking at the DMO balance sheet. I assume that says on March 2026, right?
I made that assumption also.
It
Yes.
says 2025, but that should have been 2026. But I'm looking at the assets and the liabilities.
Uh-huh.
It seems that the assets only show cash, but they don't show any receivables, like the TLT money that you were owed for, so is that included in that cash or?
No, no, I mean, yeah, we can definitely incorporate that. I know originally,
Oh,
we talked with Tim about these, and this is just kind of the format that was agreed upon. And so I just follow that, but, we can definitely, look into that for sure, doing.
accrual, balance sheet is what I'm saying, because it would show, it's not showing what you've earned as opposed to what you received and paid.
One of the challenges to that, I think, is the way the contract is structured, because it's not like you've got an invoice out there that would show up as a receivable.
Right.
You've got an amount that you don't know what it's going to be, because we're just giving the whole 1%, 70% of 1% to the chamber. So-
Okay,
But this, so up to the 10
okay, can everybody we do need to make an adjustment to our agenda because our city attorney needs to be done by 8 o'clock and we have 3 items to talk about. So I
Can
think
we hear from Tim and what he was saying quickly and then we'll.
better be quick.
Just super quick, the contract was with the Chambers attorney, so we're pretty much wrapped up, and the new contract has set amount by percentage, so it'll be easier for.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay, so I think we will continue when Jim comes back and thank you for mid-August.
Well, there's another doctor appointment in between there, we'll see.
Okay, okay, but thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice presentation.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we are going to very quickly move to item number 3. If you want to go over it. Number 3.
All for eight.
what's that? 378, okay. All right. With me today is Skylar Archibald from the Sunset Park and Recreation Foundation, and Amber Fowler. And as you recall, we had an agreement with Orca to be the financial intermediary with regards to fundraising and purchasing the Haystack Hill property. So what is now before you is the Sunset Park and Recreation Foundation is willing to get into a contract with the city and be that intermediary. And then there's another number that will help with the fundraising. So what I'm bringing to you is the updated, we've changed the contract. But since we're also changing the vendor, I wanted to give you an opportunity to ask any questions, and then we will bring this back. If you say, okay, we'll bring this back and the purchase sale agreement with regards to the Haystack Hill / Holland property at the August 6th meeting. After that, I will open it up to any questions. Are there changes to the agreement other than swapping out the name Orca for Sunset Empire? There are not a lot of there are the date changes, and one of the things we'll have to change in the PSA is the mentioning of Orca and switch it to the Sunset Park and Rec Foundation. So Sunset Empire didn't have any things that they were concerned about, or? I have not received anything. Their board did agree to get into a contract.
And they didn't have any objections to anything in the agreement?
We don't, and I guess I want to just make sure that everyone understands that the special district board is not what's approving this agreement, although they're aware of it and they're very happy about this opportunity to partner on the school project, but it's the Park and Rec Foundation, which is separate from the district, and their board has approved us moving forward together.
And they are 501c3.
Yep.
Thank you for
You're kind of
being
aware
willing
to
to do
look at
that.
it and say that it works.
Yes.
And how many projects like this have you done before?
We've done probably about half a dozen or so, although this is probably the most significant financially that we'll have done, but we worked with the city of Seaside on the Bob Chisholm Community Center refresh project, and then partnered with some other smaller projects, including Pride in Seaside, Art in the Park, and some other efforts in Seaside.
And that's an umbrella organization?
Yeah,
You said you were the umbrella organization for Pride.
yeah.
Happy we got it.
I know.
Yeah, and the 200,000, so your administrative fee will be the same, $200,000, and do you keep all of that and you're able to put that into other projects?
Yes, well, our foundation board, I think will do is put that into their reserves, and then they may allocate it for a specific project. We have lots of fun projects that we're hoping to do and we need more funding for, so this is a great
opportunity for us to maybe have some of those, needs met. So why did the organ thing fall through? The board wasn't aware of it to start with, was that?
No, they were aware, just they got to the point that they decided that it wasn't, help or part of their mission. Well, that's part of their mission, I guess, so that's how I phrase it.
And also that they felt that there was a problem with the way the funds were transferred, they were concerned about that. The two attorneys on their board were very concerned about that.
Yes.
And they were afraid of risking, their organization with the way it was structured, way this group was structured. I mean, that's how they felt. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, I'm just saying that was that was their main concern.
Orca had never been a fiscal sponsor to any project before, and so they didn't know how to do it. They were uncomfortable because they'd never done it before, and they had other concerns about projects that they were working on and that impacting them in doing this project too. So I think that, there were concerns on from this side as well, even though Orca's a great organization. I think they were also slightly contentious in some ways because they sued the city. Orca has taken out lawsuits against different residents in the city that have properties that would potentially be supporters of the project. So I think there were concerns on both sides. We were trying to make it work. But they would just generally weren't comfortable with the situation, which is why we sought to get Sunset involved because they've done it before. And I think it's a good opportunity. Sunset re-engages with the city in general.
If Sunset's not worried about it, that's fine,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
It's up to them.
yeah.
When we see this again, will it be a red line version, and we can see the changes from the previous contract, or who's gonna read everything over again?
No, I'll have so what you have in here right now is essentially we've, swapped out the draft and swapped out the Sunset Park and changed the date. That's basically all we've done on this contract. I was more concerned about your, feelings with regards to the organization, since you hadn't met that organization before.
Will this open doors for us to work with, Sunset Parks again on more projects?
I certainly hope so. I think, we'd love to have more engagement with, the residents of Cannon Beach and support some of the awesome things that, the city is doing, and, that we're serving a lot of your residents through our services and programs and facilities now, so we hope to just strengthen the partnership over time.
Wonderful. And so I didn't read this verbatim because I figured it was probably pretty much the same, but the dates have changed. Does the end date pass when we should know about that grant?
Currently, we should have some information with regards to, the Hollands have extended PSA and we tie the, this agreement to the timing of that PSA. And then when we bring the PSA back to you on the 6th, we're also gonna have another, potential extension. And then that could get us to December, where we would know pretty much everything is the next step.
The worst case is there's an extension.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
And you guys are good with that if something happens and we get the grant, but the funds aren't gonna come through until February, if you're okay to extend this contract.
Yeah.
And our fundraising efforts ongoing.
Well, they have to be, this has to happen first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we're very excited about
Got
it.
some ducks in a row.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I talked to, OPRD earlier this week, or I should say last week, just to check in to see sort of where we were at. And she told us, I told her that I wanted to be able to, add Sunset Empire as our fiscal, Sunset Park and Recreation Package as our fiscal sponsor after this meeting goes, after we decide. And then she also gave me a status that there was only one land acquisition grant application submitted. There were two that were land acquisition and development grants that were submitted. And a total of, I think if I'm not mistaken, $27 or $28 million in applications that they received for this year's cycle. And it's about $1 million or so, I think, more than last year's.
and they funded 16 million of it last year in 2025. So it's about the same odds as last year's, so. She can't say more than, that, but we should know probably first week of August or so, that we'll get to the review and then go from there. So,
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, now we are going down to, we're gonna temporarily close the work session with a special meeting and go with item number 7, resolution 2614.
we actually do it on the phone.
Go ahead. Ashley, go ahead.
Yes, hello, everyone. So this is the resolution authorizing appointing the manager pro tem and a temporary employment agreement. Essentially, we just took the direction that we received from council at the last meeting and created this resolution.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a question about extension, if it just comes down, we just have to pass another resolution, if it needs to be extended past the expiration date that's on here, December 8th.
I'm sorry, can you say that? Can you say that one more time?
So the resolution has a expiration date of December 8th, 2026. The contract that is before us for the next item on the agenda, kind of makes it look like the decision isn't gonna be made until the beginning of December, leaving us in possibly a lurch for about a month or so. Do we just have to pass another resolution come December to extend the pro tem city manager position for whatever time needs to be extended, or is this not extendable?
So basically what I'm hearing from your question is, can we extend the pro tem city manager contract beyond the term that's written in the current draft? Okay. That would depend on your charter terms, which I'm looking up right now, and whether there is an express set term limit for pro tem city managers. So some charters set an expressed end date and some charters do not. And I'm just confirming that right now while we're talking.
That's the only question I had about the resolution.
Does anybody else have any questions?
That was my question as well.
I think I made the assumption that would happen, but.
Right, but if it's in the charter, which I'm surprised. You don't already have the answer, but, I would have thought through that, past that, because it could take a while.
Yep, so it's 4 months in your charter that you can have a pro tem.
So we can't extend it,
Correct.
or not extend it, but we can't write another contract.
Correct.
So what do we do if this place that we hired can't find a city manager that we all agree on? Then what do we do?
We'll need to have another conversation. But your charter provides that your pro tem can be for 4 months.
So I think instead of having another conversation, I think that we need to probably start planning for them not to be able to find somebody in 4 months. Because if they don't find somebody, then are we just not gonna have a city manager? Can we just not have a city manager?
I think
Can
we're
we
gonna
have a temporary 10
approve this
until we find somebody else?
resolution and then we've got 4 months.
And
What are options?
Start thinking about it.
right, and we can talk to the consultants and let them know that, this is something we've just discovered and so we need to make some adjustments to the timeline.
I move to approve resolution 2614, appointing Tim Collier as the interim pro tem city manager beginning August 8th, 2026, and authorizing the mayor to enter into a temporary employment agreement with Mr. Collier.
A second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call please, Kim.
Counselor Hayes,
Yes.
Council President Kerr. Yes. Counselor Ostrander,
Yes.
Counselor Hammond,
Yes.
Mayor Knopf.
Yes. Okay, thank you. next we have resolution 2615. Ashley?
Yes, so give me one moment. I would just had your charter open. I'm clicking over to that one. Here we go. Okay, so 2615, this is authorizing the mayor to enter into that contract for city manager recruitment. So again, acting on your direction at the last council meeting, this is proceeding with that PSA.
I move to approve resolution 2615, authorizing the mayor to enter into a personal services contract with GMP Consultants that is approved by the city attorney.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call please, Jen.
Council President Kirk.
Yes.
Councilor Ostrander.
Yes.
Councilor Hanlon.
Yes.
Councilor Hayes.
Yes.
Mayor Knopf.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, now we're,
Wait, all that.
we're going back we're gonna close special meeting, open up the work session again, and we're ready for item number 4, which is the city hall and police station project updates. Come on up, and thank you guys for waiting.
Well, we are happy to be here again as always. We're here a little bit sooner than the previous cadence. We did that because we want to be available to answer questions for the specific period, as there were some changes to the contingencies based on presentation last time. So I actually want to start this time in opposite order and look at PD before we look at City Hall. PD is occupied and operational. We still, as you see, have reconciliation and budget finalization happening. This is through work in May. There continues to be small items, but we do have here a finalized contingency remainder that we're transferring over to City Hall. So that is, we were projecting last time, this number is now what will be transferred over to that City Hall contingency of a little under $33,000. I mentioned there's still a little bit going on there. There's adjustments to the HVAC system that are scheduled, I believe the first week in August. And that the remaining outstanding work there, so we would be looking at finalizing everything in July or August, which, so that will, because of the delay in these reports, possibly we can make that work by September, the September report. That's why you're seeing only 94% there work. Yeah, last couple items, and with the lab, that will be 100% here quite shortly. On City Hall.
Before you go on, does anybody have any questions on the police station? No? Okay.
So on City Hall, you can see that number, we'll get to in a moment, the transfer of the police contingency. There are several listed approved contingency uses this time. And then there are new to this report projected remaining contingency uses. And that is because as we near project completion, we're able to forecast what these items might be to reconcile the whole of the budget. There are some items here shown in black. Specifically, those are the IT and low voltage items that are listed in the approved contingency use. I'm calling special note to those because originally they had been anticipated to come out of the soft cost side of the equation. Contractually, it made sense to have them come out of the construction GMP
it was still within that overall budget to do so. And so that's why those funds were always in the budget, but now coming out of a different source. And with that, I'll open it for questions.
Are our chairs in that?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're very comfortable.
I'm
I'm trying to say, they are very comfortable. I'm trying to use them.
And I could resist, so I did some. Anyway.
The 32,000 from, PD being transferred to the city hall, is that? Am I missing where that's included on the budget in the city hall budget, or is that not included yet, because it hasn't been transferred?
It's included under projected remaining contingency use in parentheses. And the transfer hasn't happened, but.
We still have a paper trail made doing kind of that transfer, so that hasn't happened yet, so we're not going to say that it has been until it's actually physically done.
Okay, so we went over contingency then, is what this is showing. So we went over contingency by, was it 20 something thousand?
I would say that's a possibility. I think some of those other numbers in the projected remaining contingency use are still order of magnitude numbers.
Okay.
And we were conservative a little bit, so where we exactly land, we don't quite know yet. But we have used
Yes.
balance of the contingency.
Sorry, the balance plus some.
Can you help me understand the temporary facilities? I don't know if I missed something in what you were saying, whether they were in soft costs.
Temp facilities were not in soft cost. That was originally part of temp facilities was in the original, I think it was a alternate in the GMP that was voted on. And at the time, before we even mobilized, like anything, hey, the thought we needed temporary facilities were put in place. Then as we approved the GMP, all the temporary facilities budget was kind of based on allowances. And as we proceeded on to try to find out what temp facilities actually needed, there were several factors. One, you needed to be on emergency power. So then that created to have power ran specifically, a generator to kick on upon an emergency, and then a transfer switch that actually switches it from permanent power to the generator power. So that was kind of a item that kind of ran over budget. Originally, one of the trailers was supposed to leave, or I'm sorry, was supposed to stay. For reasons at the time, potentially had to stay, so.
And that money would then have come from another city budget and covered that?
Correct.
Is that?
Yes, sir. So there was, ultimately, there's like a small list of items that caused that budget to go over its original design allowances. So we're pulling that from the contingency.
I think I get it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Overall, for both projects, you're going to come in under budget.
Yes.
That is correct. So the idea is that the contingencies have been used for things that you didn't otherwise see.
Correct.
So all in all, we're gonna come in under budget for both projects about $1 million, 700, 5, 10,000. You don't have to answer that question.
I believe
I can take the first.
Yeah, go ahead.
This answer. I think it depends whether we're looking at the GMP, which is the guaranteed maximum price for construction. That we're coming in for both projects overall, even with the listed contingency combined, we're coming in under the GMP. That number of savings will be one number. If you include the soft costs in there, the owner's contingencies, the under budget FF&E, there's several items here where those savings are substantially larger. So if we're looking at that initial all-in project budget and where we anticipate coming in, there'll be more savings there. compared to looking at strictly the construction portion.
And that's what I'm talking about, just that overall, we went in at 26 million all in, whatever the number was. For both projects. And we're going to realize spending less than that overall.
Yes, and then to kind of go on your point about the contingency, one of the things that we came up together at the beginning of the project. That our contingency is. We have a budget here. And the contingency is there to use for things unforeseen, whatnot, so. That's why you saw stuff like AV and IT, which was originally in your soft costs. We were like, well, let's use the money that we already have in our bucket to take care of those items. So the more that we saw that created more savings on your side of the budget while we monitored and slowly use for the betterment of the project or the building, the contingency. So that was kind of like a good team decision that we all came across at the beginning, like, let's use what we have here, so we don't have to spend your money that you have over here.
And come ask for more.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody has to do that.
No,
Yeah.
it's true. Thank you for that explanation.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yep.
and I'm excited for the next meeting. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, thank you, Gordon.
Yeah.
Okay, next, we're ready for item number 5, recycle on. Come on up, Chris.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Quite a bit of information in this staff report. The general idea is that the Circular Action Alliance offers for free a container that we can use that have bins in it for the purpose of recycling hard to recycle materials. A list of those materials is shown as an attachment. Plastic bags, plastic lids, rigid 6-pack handle, plastic buckets and pails, aluminum foil, shredded paper, and then we already do glass bottles and jars. So those are a list of the hard to recycle materials. Again, the cost, they're free. We don't pay anything to host the site. OBRC would be our service provider. There's actually battery powered cameras that are in there that take pictures, 3 images a day, and determine the bin fullness. And that indicates to our service operator when and how often they need to come out to take those hard to recycle materials away. There is staffing assistance as well, that's paid monthly. They say that we need to allocate approximately 10 hours a week. And that's for our current employee to open up the container, do periodic checks, sweep it out, get rid of any contaminants, and educate the consumers and close the container as well. All the maintenance is done by CCA, including repainting as needed, door repairs, light repairs, etc. Size was a bit of an issue with our current footprint of our recycling center. At first, you can see the image of the city of Ashland, which is included as an attachment. That's a 20-foot container. And we were having a really tough time locating it on our site without expanding the footprint of the recycling center, which would then require modifications to the gate and fence. And so after inquiring, I found out that they actually have a 10-foot container. They're just not available yet. So that 10-foot container should be starting to become available by the end of the year. And so it is our recommendation based on what we anticipate for demand to go with that smaller container, at least to start. That was really all I had.
Is there, are they gonna be, for lack of a better word, cranky if they have to come more frequently than only a 10-foot container? If demand exceeds what we expect there?
I don't know how cranky they'll be. No, I mean, it's tough, not, being in and around the recycling center, you see that there are like 5-gallon buckets and pails that kind of build up, but our staff isn't seeing the amount of these things coming through. Well, now when you're offering, oh, now we can take plastic bags, people are gonna start bringing plastic bags, but. Again, I think that to start out, the 10 foot is a good option, and I can certainly inquire with them. What kind of party it would be, eventually to go up to a larger size, but I think the 10 foot's the right size.
I think 10 foot, I walked the site today thinking like, where can you fit 20 feet, and it's, if you can. Especially with people drive in and out of the North Gate there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was just my biggest concern is if they, I imagine the first couple of times probably been loaded pretty heavily as people have possibly stockpiles of whatever it is that they can recycle finally. But if they're gonna throw, if CCA is gonna be frustrated with having come much more frequently, potentially only for a quarter or something. Versus the 20 footer that we may not need in the long run, but even 20 footer that might get loaded up like crazy.
Understood. Yeah, staff plans to meet with them. They're gonna come out on site and take a look at it. So that's one of the questions I can certainly ask them.
And you're saying staff management required the 0.25 FTE, we can cover that with existing.
That's correct. Yeah, we're confident that we have that 10 hours a week that's necessary to open and close it.
Additional expenses that could be incurred would be disposing of anything that gets left there that's inappropriate, that they won't take, is that?
Correct. Very similar to the situation right now, we have people come that throw trash away, and unfortunately, we have to pull that contaminant out, and then we take that to our trash compactor by the wastewater treatment plant. So same thing, yeah.
So education will be important.
Yeah.
You imagine it actually taking an additional 10 hours or just? Because that's what their projection, but I feel like it probably isn't an actual 10 hours.
No, yeah, I think that.
At this particular site because of the staffing.
Yeah, I think they're conservative, prepare folks, but with our existing staff levels, we can open, close, educate, and check for contaminants periodically.
Look like the 10 foot fits nicely.
So everybody okay with that?
Or that.
The recycle on.
Whenever they start manufacturing.
I'm waiting for somebody to say it's a
Yeah.
horrible idea.
Thank you for doing that.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on item number 6, the Nature's Parking. Element Design and Construction Services Committee.
Yes, this came as a recommendation, I believe, from folks that were involved in the selection of the consultants for the Nacruz Park. And it suggests that there be a Nacruz Park Advisory Committee. And there's a list of items that are here that the council would need to decide before moving forward. I want to strongly caution the council that whatever structure you have, there's no one between public and council. We don't need somebody to review the information and make a recommendation to the council. I would strongly urge that you hear directly from the public, that it goes straight to the council.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
The one that's here as an example. Where we looked at the, other places that had been set up, similar to what we were considering for Nacruz. That was done where they went out, did the research, and then put together a report and made a report to council. I think that you don't want somebody talking design with your residents and then giving me, maybe biased, maybe not.
Okay, I got
You should hear directly.
it. Okay, thank you.
Sure, I get it, but.
I think, the previous committee city of Yukon. There was a lot of, research that was done that should have been handled by the consultant. The people that are trained to do those things. I mean, maybe we have people on our committee that spend a lot of time doing those things. And the reason we have a consultant is because they're the experts. And so they need to be a little more involved in. That makes sense.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, we had a committee because we had a facility and we needed policies and we needed to discuss uses and limitations, and that's not similar to what it seems like we're setting a committee for now.
Right, it is different, was my point.
Okay,
I think that, if you look back at the way that the original Licorice project was done, there was a lot of public input, and it was public input that was given to the council. And the council made the decision to say, okay, we'll go with this, we won't go with this, let's explore this some more. But you had control of the process.
yeah, in my mind, the idea was really to avoid situation we ended up in last time, which I think felt to a lot of people, like, we do a public process. And of course, a lot of people complained that it was a flawed public process. And then a whole lot happened between the designer, but there really wasn't a committee to help guide the designer along the way.
That should have been the council. Unless you wanted to advocate that responsibility to someone, then you can do that, say, let's have this committee, and they can be the connection to the consultant. But what I'm recommending is that you don't allow that to happen. You take the input, you make
Well,
the
if
decisions.
that's true, then do we need a committee or are we the committee?
There are other functions that you want a committee to look into. Some operational things, who knows what. But, what I'm saying is the public input to council should not be obstructed.
But if we don't have a committee, we won't have tribal representation, which I think is very important.
You can,
Well, there was tribal representation through, that were being paid for as a consultant on the previous project outside of the committee that existed, well, as being on committee, so there was still that
But I think
representation.
that was one of the problems, is that was kind of outside of the whole public process.
Yeah, I agree that was
I'm trying to figure out how to avoid that and, make sure that all interests are represented, so. Tribal, interests, general, local community interest. Parks Committee,
Yeah.
the. I think historical and environmental, I mean, I feel like I can do a lot of that sitting on council, and if we're the committee, I'm okay with that. But it does seem, I just want to avoid where we ended up last time.
We need public works representation too, because they're gonna have to, but we do a lot of maintenance, so we need someone in public works. Have their input, you can decide a part and then they can't take it in. But I already done the person, but, that doesn't work.
Well, and I think those meetings will need to be standalone meetings. Because they're gonna be long.
Alright, so those, I most of this stuff written down in my comments, that in order for the focus of the intention to be focused, and public comments and everything to be focused, it very likely needs to be a standalone meeting, but it is that, and I think many last time, many meetings were, standalone, not going to take a bunch of them were. But I had the same questions as what is the ask of a whole new committee? in this, if the ask is design. What, then it should be council getting the public comment, creating that discussion, so then we could add a committee in there, or Bruce said, add an extra step, I think the community and us. Making that final decision, so it kind of muddies the water, and so we public comment potentially on that, and then, if it's not designed, does this committee just do refining of after public comment already made? Is that what the ask is of this committee? I'm not, I guess I don't know what the target, and I want people commenting involved in the project possible, but I don't know what the objective is of a separate standalone committee for this.
Yeah, my main interest is just to make sure we're aligning all stakeholder, priorities. You know, rather than it, rather than it being a designer, doing the public process, but again, now that I think about it, maybe we can do that with some tribal input. I think, I don't know how that works, is tribal input just public comment?
Is there option of like a joint session where the chairs of each of the public works committee and representation from public works, like Chris and their parks, and like the chair of the park, like where we do a joint meetings like that, is that?
And if we did a joint meeting, could we add outside consultants to that?
As part of the deals?
As part, yeah, or, yeah, as part of the conversation for sure.
And you mean by outside consultants?
Like, right, yeah, okay.
I think the answer to all of these is yes, so long as they report to you. Make sure that there's a very short line, if there is a line at all, between you and the public. Now, I think that the example of the last committee going out and saying, let's go out and find out, you know, how much people charge, how they budget, those kind of things. That was, I think that was a great use, because they came back with a report. And that information was provided to that committee that was doing the study. And that's exactly how it should be for, you know, anybody in the council is seeking out for additional information. Just make sure it comes back to you.
That way we have the answers when we're making decisions.
I like the idea of the joint meeting, that Eric suggested, we have heads of all the different.
Also, we don't have the whole committee, we just have a chair.
Chair or representative, okay, yes, someone who may have a special interest in the park, you know, someone can obviously have Chris and. But parks may want to send somebody else who's a special interest, but
So we
some
have representative from public works.
tribal representation as well, and have a. You know, discussion. Amongst the council and the representatives.
Well, that should happen.
I like that idea.
So I think we need to address these things with our contractor, and I'm assuming we will in some kind of introductory meeting where. I don't wanna see them come in and redo the flood public process that happened before. And you know, we're so far down the road here that it's like, we have the wealth of information and they're coming in cold, and I just wanna make sure that that we can really communicate with them rather than I think a lot of the projects they're doing, they're thinking like CETA did, okay, let's have, you know, community outreach things, and let's have surveys, and I'm much more comfortable with the public meeting and getting input with the knowledge of starting with current knowledge.
But you'd still have the consultants present.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because they're gonna be here, everything we hear in order to inform their.
And we know the temperature, we know the temperature of our constituents, right? We know the town. And some of us more than others, but, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Do it a little different, and that way then the project will ultimately be almost completely different from the way that it was last. Okay.
And that's part of it.
It was still the council, everything came to the council was.
But there was too much in the middle.
Okay, so we okay with that plan? Yeah. And how soon would we like to, not soon?
So,
Well, first you have to approve their
correct,
contract.
we're gonna approve the contract, and then we have a plan on non-scheduling our community to have to move in the local location.
That's
So
what
we
we want.
want to get settled, and then we will schedule it beforehand, not gonna do it until after we will.
Right.
So, once we get their contract approved, we will coordinate with them, get citizenship, then they have kind of an outline plan and suggestion, and we'll,
Yeah, okay, but we do wanna have on the agenda for the Parks Committee and Public Works for them to appoint a representative to this group.
well, it's public, but just to provide input on the process or the design, speak on behalf of them.
To represent their interests. And then, I would suggest that we have Chris and Trevor and maybe AJ to be involved with it. And of course, Ken.
We will work with Chris and see if you do bring in some of your staff, you will maybe be able to time just there, but let's work with Public Works and find out who we would recommend and if that could be.
Yeah.
We will email, well, Chris here, Parks and Public Works representative, attend future meetings, standalone. We got it.
And historical interests, environmental interests. Not just all public comment.
So we can do an email list that we can create a list of people we want. Then every time we have any information in public meetings, we can send it to that list. And that way everyone's receiving information, being invited to these meetings.
Perfect. And then they can give public comment or be.
And we probably want to format the meeting more as a discussion with the entire, not just do public comment at the beginning, but after we discuss things, let people give some input.
I think Antia is gonna come in with a lot of ideas for history and ways, options for you guys to choose from. So are you guys good to Barb and I look together on a list of everyone we think you guys would want to have involved, so that we guys get email addresses and we can just be that far ahead for when we start our meetings in August? And then I just wanted to ask you guys, make sure we have all interested parties covered.
So, and if we had anybody, not that I do, well, don't know, but if one of the other of us had something, we could just email it to you, like, hey, thought about this person.
Yeah.
It's this.
And let's just start a list, so that way when we do get to that point with not studios or by people, we have our list ready to go. If you guys have anything, send it to me, and then, I think we kind of know the safe words that I think we listed in our, one of the renditions of people that we would be interested in buying one person for each one.
We do have a person in the audience that I think would be a perfect member of that. Dick, it's good to see you.
Can I say a word?
A word? I've never known you only to say. Come on up, so that the people can. Take microphones, you know.
Been a long time.
It has been good to see you.
Good to see you all here.
Long winding road.
Yeah, Department, a long winding road.
First of all, I just wanted to share a message from the Classic Nehalem tribe that I'm their official representative, for the Coos and, am here to do
whatever, you might ask. Also, I am, enrolled at Siletz down the coast, which is a federally recognized tribe. And I'm on their cultural committee also. So it's sort of, we can check that box of having a federally recognized tribe involved in things where it comes to maybe like looking for grants or looking for some extra funding to supplement the project. And I'm really glad to be back. I've had some health issues and ups and downs in my group. And, you know, I'm really wanting to see this work. And the older I get, the more flexible I can be. That's one thing. And so anyway, I wanted to make sure you got that message from the class on Indian that I learned. Their recommendation and a reminder, that I used to live over here next to the school. I've driven the school bus. Mayor Sam was on my bus and my father's school bus, and so I'm part of, I have history here. I don't live here now, but I do have history and really care about this and yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Great to see you, Dave. Yeah, good to see you guys.
Okay, we did with all of that.
Yeah, I have a question. The only question that I have is about, you know, opening up for public conversation. Probably gonna need to make sure there's time limits.
Oh, yeah.
And with a timer. I like the little thing.
I think you did a great job.
Everybody can have their own little, but I just wanted to ask if that was what you
Do
would.
you have a recommendation for how long they can talk?
I would say no more than 3 minutes, but 2 would be good.
Or what you can get, I think you can try. I think it's too short.
I mean, it doesn't mean you can only say something once. It's getting the habit of saying what you need to say and not just going on.
Right.
Is,
3 minutes, doesn't.
gives them enough time.
3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, to me, the most important thing is that we set the stage right. So that people don't think, they come in and.
I want a dog park.
Grandstand.
Yeah, we're going to, you know, we certainly can listen to people, but I think we need to start with the principles that we all, what do we found here, like what we went to the park.
The budget that we're going to here. And I mean, we need to get that information first.
The restored landscape, the trail, the interpretive trail, covered spaces, restrooms. I don't know, the list of like 5 things that seemed like we were all, you know, agreed on. And not start over with recreation center or pickleball court or.
Yeah. Exactly. Understood. Anybody else have anything to say on that?
I do want a dog park.
I would let you do one of the health park, but it's not there.
Yeah, the big one.
Well, I watched a local, so I watched a local the other day on a YouTube video with their dog off leash. They were zoomed in so far it was pixelated, yelling at these tourists. Your dog attacked my dog, and it was the local's dog that was off his leash, going up to other people's dogs. And I think sometimes that going from the ocean, my dogs don't have recall. A lot of people's dogs don't have recall. And so I'm just gonna, I won't ever say anything about it again, but I am absolutely campaigning for having some kind of a place where our dogs can go that's safe, that you can throw a ball for them. and not have them just leave. Is mine was.
I've had my dog in the park twice in dog park, so even a dog park, okay, it's all.
Anyway,
Okay, yeah, so let's move on. Okay, so now I'm closing the work session and opening the special meeting again for item number 9.
Park design and construction services, I don't have. All right,
I mean,
I don't know.
it's the Maker's Park.
Yeah.
The certain awarding the contract.
Yeah. Do you want this?
So are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
City staff developed and council approved an RFP for the selection of the firm who would be responsible for the Yakuza Park and park element design and construction services. The selection review committee was assembled and included Margot Lalish, Ginger Keller, Nancy Littell, Don Stasny, Beth Holland, and Jeff Adams. 4 firms were selected for in-person interviews. Purpose of the interviews is to evaluate the presentation of proposals and proposers' ability to work for city staff. And you have the information from proposers and the appropriate for a motion.
You need both of these motions?
Pardon?
Yeah, we need both of these motions, one to approve that we're going to select the firm and then one to select the firm.
And that's what we did the first go around, they had our attorney had a speed vote, and so we just kept the same process.
Thanks, Jim.
I move to approve the firm determined to be most qualified by the selection committee for the Yakuza Park and park element design and construction services project.
Second. Any further discussion?
I want to say thank you to the committee for all their hard work doing.
Yeah.
Putting it together.
It's been a couple long days. Okay, roll call please.
Councilor Ostrander,
Yes.
Councilor Ham,
yes,
Councilor Hayes.
Yes.
Council President.
Yeah.
Right, Mayor Knopf.
Yes.
I move to approve the award to Not Studios, or Not Studio, for the Yakuza Park and park element design and construction services projects.
Second,
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call please, Jeff.
Councilor Ham,
yes.
Councilor Hayes,
yes.
Council President Kirk. Councilor Ostrander.
Yes.
Mayor Knopf.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So now we're ready for good of the order.
Okay, two things. One, from public comment, that I believe it was, Nancy Littell, the parking is $50, right? Not this winter, right? That was up 4 years ago. 3 years ago. Make sure. But, $50 now for parking things. I don't think it would be unreasonable for us to have that discussion in some future meeting.
Because $50, I mean, I've heard the conversations.
I do think it is still relatively low. What it would cost to park some of the parking sort of tourists, other tourist destination of parking, just the regular park channel.
Right.
For illegal parking. The other comment I sent an email to, a few staff members about it, but the structure, the structures, that are for sale on the Pacific. It's, buildings, one has 4 units in it, there are 3 units in it for 1.8 million right now. It was brought to me by somebody in the community, I just wanted to say out in public that I really hope, I know it's really short turnaround for the city to try to get involved and do anything about ensuring that maintains long-term housing. As something we extended, but it's 7 units for 1.8 million, which is really not that much money for that many units.
And where's that?
It's on Pacific, I sent an email to Jeff Adams, and he said he's looking for work.
Okay.
I don't know what looking into, looking for a staff member, just a short term property already on the market, but he said take a look at what it's valued.
Right now, it's long term.
It's vacant and it's been vacant for a few years.
It's been vacant for a while. I know somebody that did live in it as a long term for a while, but it's starting where this unit stayed vacant. afterwards for quite some time, it's still.
And what's the price right now?
1.8.
It's, but is that, or do we just use it? That's. It's 7 units.
Well,
We still want them.
We still local, like, whatever it is, I
Well-
think that's something, that's just where it needs to be here.
the family that owns the property, he's older and he's had some health issues. So, but unfortunately, I don't think the lease to locals program would work. But it would be something that would be, we could probably figure out how to do ourselves. The kitchen, there's a joint kitchen in one of those units, which is kind of off. I think somebody would need to look at it. It probably needs some renovating. I think there's 8 or 10 parking spaces behind it, so it has adequate parking already.
It's just below, Hallmark, if you're on Pacific and you go all the way up, all the way to the
It's
base.
1371, 1379. Yeah, there's.
I probably have to get the short-term rental thing settled before, you know, before that comes to.
Yeah, that's why I think
Thursday, I heard that people that make the Lighthouse, you know, the Lighthouse.
We are still in a public meeting, so.
So there are some things that, oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So there are some things I think that we would need to talk about pretty quickly.
So when did you send the email to Jeff?
2 days ago.
Okay.
I did. It was very recent. I remember the community sent it to me and he did some math and he was like, it's only this much, this is even cheaper than the renovations costing at the low income housing per unit. Like, it's relatively, it's not in the affordability range, but it's much closer to that than other things that exist out there.
Housing trust to manage it.
That's.
We can bring a presentation from the attorney's office on how you can buy a property. I don't think it's just like us walking up and making an offer or something. So there's gonna be a whole process with that, so we'll get that in the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, and I assume it would be substantially more complicated than what would be typical, because it's already on the market. I really just wanted to create a way. We see that there's 7 units that are currently for sale and want them to be long-term rentals or at least somebody living in them full time.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it's 1
Okay. That's
That's all I have to really.
Anybody else?
I sent the public comments in about the elk, had a conversation with, one of the gentlemen that sent, he asked me to call him and I did, and, I think that we just need to be really diligent about staying on top of this. I see homeowners coming together and possibly being thinking. So, you know, I mean, I see homeowners coming together and actually attempting to file a lawsuit against the city about the elk. So, and when you have one, you know, a few people that are upset about something and they come together, things can happen. So, and that's not something I don't think that we want. So I think as long as we stay diligent on that, yeah.
Is that, ordinance language back for us in August?
It is, we have been on August 16th.
And then do we have to wait 30 days after that?
Yeah, so the last,
There was a lot of upheaval about, I mean, I don't know if you. I think you got an email as well, Barb, but, the way it was written in the newsletter, you know, with quotes from the attorney, $6,450 fine, 364 days in jail. That just sent people on a downward spiral. People that live, you know, that have homes here and, I understand the way the information is put out, but just, I heard from several people that were not happy after that newsletter came out about the ordinance. I understand why we're doing it. Insane.
Okay, anything else? Bruce?
Yeah, just had a chance to talk to Rusty about the, trailer schedule. And the trailers are actually supposed to leave the site on, July 27th.
For process, yes.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have everything?
We'll be out. We'll be out.
So, yeah.
We'll be called.
I just want you to know that it's.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it, then, thanks.
Okay, I have one quick thing, I usually like to thank all of the volunteers that, put together a successful 4th of July weekend, and I didn't do that last month, or last week, so I'll make sure that, the number of people that volunteer in this community just during the 4th of July festivities is amazing. And I want to make sure that everybody knows we appreciate all of their hard work. So, thank you, volunteers. Anything else?